You have three things that people don't even account for. Are you surviving, barely existing, or actually living? Most of us are not living. Some are barely existing, and others are surviving. Most of us, when we are so damaged mentally that we don't even account for it, we bury ourselves.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind Shift Show. Today, I have the privilege to introduce you to an extraordinary individual that I heard speak last week, and I was touched, moved, and inspired by what he had to say. Help welcome retired Fallujah Marine Corps veteran, Silver Star recipient, Carlos Gomez Perez. Carlos, welcome to the show.
Well, yeah, Rocío, thanks for inviting me in the first place. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As we begin, Carlos, I would love for you to share your background. Who is Carlos Gomez Perez?
Uh, it is a tough question to answer, honestly, because if you would have asked me this even 6 months ago or even a year ago, I would have replied with nobody. Nobody, because I never understood that everybody in this world has a story. Everybody in this world has value. But I never realized that prior because of my insecurities that without knowing extended from childhood.
Mm.
Everything from being left in Mexico City without my parents for 2 years because they came to the United States to try and give me a better future, to crossing the border undocumented, coming here, dodging the migra. And someone said it best. My whole childhood, from the moment I got here at 9 till I was 17, I lived in in the shadows. I had to live in the shadows. I had to be perfect. I had no room to make a mistake because the minute I did, then cops could get involved, immigration could get involved, my parents could get deported, I could get deported, right? So I as a kid and a teenager, and even in my early 20s and 30s, I never acknowledged that as having being a problematic issue for me. I never
Mm.
saw it. Like, well, it had to get done, right?
Mhm.
So if you would ask me 6 months ago, a year ago, I'd be like, nobody. But that's not true. That is not true. Who am I now? I'm now a individual, a person, a human being that is trying to do the best to cope with everything that was thrown in his direction and realizing that I have to learn to forgive myself for things that I had no clue that were impacting my life very, very greatly.
Mm.
Um, I know what I tell people now that I'm no longer the 9-year-old undocumented boy from Mexico City who had no voice. I was a voiceless individual back then.
Mhm.
No, now I'm a 42-year-old Marine Corps retired veteran with a Silver Star, which is the third highest medal of valor that anyone in the service can receive.
Wow.
That I never acknowledged that to be an accomplishment.
Mm.
I used to be so damaged mentally that my internal monologue used to be, "What? You think you're special? That you got a Silver Star? You weren't even good enough to get a Medal of Honor. You weren't even good enough to get a Navy Cross.
Wow.
What's wrong with you? Why are you so proud of that? That's the only accomplishment you have done in 20 years." That was my type of conversations I would have myself
Wow.
because I would not acknowledge that to be an actual accomplishment. And also had to do a lot with the way I received it in the military. The fact that everybody that I was with received their awards literally 2 3 months after we came back from deployment, and it took me over 2 years because within those 2 years I never even knew I was put up for the award, and when I did find out, I was being tossed around like a pinball
Mm.
between the Navy and the Marine Corps. The Navy reading my citation and realizing, hey, this guy deserves something higher. So I was put up with a Navy Cross and then sent back to the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps like, no, no, he's nothing special.
Uh,
He's lucky he's getting a Silver Star. So learning that kind of put a really big, big dagger. And I'm like, well, this kind of sucks. I'm being seen as something less that I deserve. And then afterwards, with just things in life, not realizing that I needed, not realizing, not accepting that I needed to go and get help.
Mm.
That was the biggest things.
Wow.
Go get help. Um,
Fascinating. And I know you
and
and I talked about the part of getting help. What does it mean to you? And what was that pivotal point where you said, I must get help?
it was part of it, not an ultimatum, but a real um, slap in the face when my wife at the time, she's like, I'm already 40. I've been through you with this for the last 20 years. I can't turn 41
Mm.
with the same guy that you're currently.
Wow. Wow.
So that was part of it,
Mm.
right? And as I started going to therapy, I realized that it's okay to be prideful because most of us are.
Mhm.
Prideful is great.
Mhm.
Egotistical is even better.
Mm.
But when that ego and that pride impacts your family's life to the point that's literally destroying them, that's when you have issues. That you lack the knowledge, you lack the cojones to say, you know what, it's my fault.
Mm.
I'm the one responsible. I'm the one
The
that's
mirror
coming to
onto
this thing.
self.
That is like literally taking account for your own actions. That's what started really doing the trigger and switching. But when I really started changing was when my daughter was born. My daughter's 15 now.
Mhm.
So when my daughter was born, everybody said, "Oh, you're gonna change." Oh, no, no, I won't. But that did do a little bit of shift on my mindset. The main thing is though is that I had to completely understand that validation goes a long way. I
Mm.
never accounted for people's um, interactions in life as important, you know, and I had to comprehend that just because I went to combat, I got shot twice, and for me that was quote unquote, if I were to put in a rating scale like a number six and a number 10 scale, as much my worst day of my life. That doesn't mean that someone that just trips and twists their ankle, that might have been their worst experience in their life. They need to validate that as their own traumatic experiences without judgment. Just because for me, it's a day in the park. And that is the hardest thing to do as a person that has been without knowing in a survival mindset their whole entire life. You know, that I used to believe that in order for you to understand life and even appreciate life, you need to go through struggles. You need to go through hunger. You need to go through near death experiences. You need to go through poverty. That's the only way you're going to understand life. No, that's the only way to suffer life,
Mm.
you know? And I would have this conversation with my wife, and she's like, "So you tell me you want to know these people to understand life and you need to go through the struggles, right?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the only way."
Mhm.
So that's the type of life you want for your kids? No.
Mhm.
So how can you contradict yourself? You can't. So it took a lot of time um, and understanding that as an individual, whether you serve in the military or you didn't serve in the military, the way that a society has been made up is that as a male, you're supposed to portray this person, this image,
Wow.
and it's your responsibility to never go fall behind that.
Mm.
If I were to ask males, you have a lot of individuals that you count as friends. If you were to ask most of the males that you know, how many of them can actually reach out to another male
Mhm.
on a completely tragic day and
Vaughn.
tell me, like, I'm hurting in here,
Mm.
and in here. How many of them could actually tell you, yeah, you know what? I have someone I can reach out to. I have another male I can reach out to that will give me their ear, will give me their shoulder, and it will tell me something else besides, oh, suck it up or have a beer. It'll be okay.
You're right.
Not many.
Shake it off.
Exactly.
Wow, that is so powerful when the moment that you take to reflect, and it is an awakening. The moment that we wake up, the moment that you woke up to the reality of the impact on your family, and you said, "Hey, I know that I heard this during part of your speech, and I heard this when we were having breakfast, and I was fascinated by this story, your story. Tell me about what does empathy look like now, right? Because empathy may have been non-existent at some point as you're speaking right now. What does it look like to leave a family behind and have empathy for them now?
In order for that, it took me over a decade after coming back from combat. So for a timeline, I was in combat in '03 and '04. So I came back in but got out of the military by '06. So to 2016, 2017, a whole decade
Wow.
to do two things. One, I woke up in the middle of the night and I shook my wife and they tried to kill me. So she's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Like 12 years ago, they were trying to kill me. She's like, "Who? Like who? The people that shot me." Like, you barely realize that? I'm like, yeah. It really dawned on me that the whole time I was out there, they were trying to kill me.
For your decade.
10 years to recognize that you do know your life was at risk, right? That's one. Two, it took me 10 years to realize that we all account the veteran as the one that suffers the most. No, pobrecito. Some people say that.
Okay. Yes.
No? Yeah, some people say
There's the
that.
one out fighting.
Exactly. He's the one out fighting. But it's very important, like us veterans, military personnel, individual society don't comprehend that the ones that signed the contract was me. I signed the contract.
Mm,
But my wife didn't sign the contract. My kids didn't sign the contract. By the end of it, who's the one paying the biggest price? Who's
mm,
the one that's actually having the after injuries? My injury is the scar still there, but it healed. But no one talks about the invisible injuries that I did, and I continue to do for a very very long time. So first of all, most of us military personnel we leave. The minute we leave, you guys
mm,
don't realize that we just left our spouse or significant other, especially if we have kids. They become single parents again. They're a single parent.
mm,
Yeah, you might well. They're not single. I pay the bills. You're still a single parent. You're gone. You are gone for 6 months,
mm, mhm,
right?
mhm.
Then
Very
from there,
interesting.
then from there, the children as well. How much impact are you making on your child by coming back and
Mm,
not accepting the fact that you need to go get help? How
mm,
much trauma are you inducing to your kids? Quick scenario, and everybody can attest to this, especially whether you're military or you live in a family household where it was some type of abuse. The quick example I can tell people is like, okay, you're about to leave the house at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. The show starts at that time. It is now 11:30 in the morning. You, as a veteran, because we all know time, you're
mhm,
walking back and forth like a caged animal, back and forth,
mm, mm,
pissed off, being an asshole to your family. Why aren't you getting ready? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Finally, you get in the vehicle. When you get in the vehicle, you act like nothing happened. You as an individual, oh, go, let's go. And yeah, you wonder why the whole family is pissed off, and like,
mm,
well, because you've been
mm,
an asshole to us for the last 2 hours.
mm, mm,
Like, how you expect me to react when you basically been rushing us, giving us anxiety, stressing us out, and for you it's like nothing.
mm, mm,
All because we don't account one thing. Like just because you show up 5 minutes late, the world won't end. But we treat it as if the world's gonna end. Or main thing that people don't comprehend. Everybody that has failed themselves to recognize where they stand right now in mental health is the
mm,
one question that everybody can relate to. If you were to show up to work tomorrow and behave in the morning to the moment you get there, the way you behave at home with your wife and your kids, unfiltered, would you still have a job at the end of the day?
no,
Exactly.
no. Nobody's going to put up with our behavior in that way.
And I comprehend everybody has different facades, everybody has different sides
Right.
of
Of
themselves. That's true.
course.
But when you come home and you unleash everything because, well, I was a Marine, or I was a combat, or I'm a Navy SEAL. Guess what?
Mm.
I'm not your troop.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids, your spouses, they don't need a Silver Star recipient. They don't need a combat veteran. They don't need a military personnel. They don't need none of that. As a kid, all they need is a loving father or loving mother to be there present for them no matter what.
Mm.
But yeah, we forget those things. A child is allowed, and it took me. I'm 42 now. You would have asked me like this 10 years ago. I would have said no. A child is allowed to go up against you. Like, you can disagree. That's normal banter. That's normal type of growing up. And but as a military personnel, you're like, who the hell do you think you are to disrespect me? You're
Mm-hmm.
my father. You're my mother. You're not a chief. You're not a senior chief. You're not a staff sergeant. We're not in the military.
Mm.
But we come out with this God complex. You
Mm.
gotta do as I say. Why?
Mm-hmm.
So, in the family aspect of it, that's where most of us lack the foresight to understand. Like, I'm the problem. But yeah, we come out of the military, especially me. I came out with a very high set of unrealistic, a very
Mm.
high unrealistic set of expectations for myself and others.
Wow. 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 Carlos, what a powerful story. What power that you get to reflect and bring this into the world because this is a gift for others to learn from, right? To experience, to take a different approach on it. Tell me, what are some of the things that you would like for others to take away from this conversation? What specifics?
The specifics I would like to take someone, and I wish someone would have told me, I guess, back in my 20s. You're okay.
Mm.
You are okay. You are okay. You are enough. You're not broken. You're a little bit damaged, but I got you.
Mm.
I have you. I got your six.
Mm.
Just allow yourself to literally go and face yourself. One of the therapies I did, I was doing as a cognitive IOP. I'm there, and this kid, I call him a kid because he was in his early 30s. So you're so brave
Mm.
because everything you done, I know. Let me take a step back. Thank you. First, thank you for a compliment. But two, I'm not brave. You're here, 30 years of age, 27 years of age, whatever. You're the one that's brave. You're the one that's brave because we're here in therapy and you're basically facing yourself and allowing
Mhm.
yourself to
Mhm.
acknowledge, hey, I need help. Like,
Right.
I'm only in my 40s. I'm barely coming around. But
Mm.
you being younger, that's the bravery part of it.
Mm. Mm.
The bravest part of it is the fact that you need to understand that there's help out there. There's
Yes.
help out there. You just need to allow yourself to accept it. It
Mm.
doesn't make you less than. It doesn't. It actually makes you stronger.
Wow. Wow. How powerful is that? That it makes you stronger, that you get to connect, that you get to do, that you get to be, have it, and ask for help sooner. Like you said, like I wish I did, right? I was hiding. I
Mhm.
was so good at it that as I was walking out the first time I went to therapy, I must have been about 28, 29 years old. And the therapist said, I can't wait to see what you create. I don't need your congratulations. I need your help.
Yeah.
Yet I wasn't vulnerable enough. For the longest time, I thought it was the therapist. I'm like, oh, they just don't get me. No, Rocío, you're just not open
Hmm.
to the help. I lived in the Pollyanna world that everything was okay. No, it wasn't.
Well, because you were even though like I said, we discussed this in the restaurant. You had luxurious life. You had a good job, whatever.
Yes.
You what I tell people now. We talked about this slightly. You have three choice. You have three things that people don't even account for. Are you surviving, barely existing, or actually living? Most of us are not living. Some are barely existing. and that was surviving. And
Mm.
most of us, when we are so damaged mentally that we don't even account for it, we bury ourselves. Oh, I'm being productive because I'm working 150 hours. No, like you mentioned, you tire yourself out so much so that when it comes down to darkness, I can go sleep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that the turmoil that happens was once the world goes silent and all the monsters really come out, you don't have to deal with them because I'm so tired I can just pass out.
Right. Which is a form of numbing, like we're numbing ourselves to the reality that we're living in. Carlos, as we're coming to the end of the interview, give us 3 tips. I know you've given us so many golden nuggets from understanding ourselves, our spouses, the impact on our children, the people, work, the difference, and all of that. Give us 3 tips that we can take and readily implement.
For veterans, there's many services out there that you're able to go ahead and reach out to. That will not affect your job. That will not affect your job. Then that will not impact your career. Then that will not impact your future. Two, for veterans, 22 years ago when we were having the external battles in the middle of Fallujah, I was man enough to have you back. I
Mm,
was man enough that when you got in trouble, like, hey Gomez, you got my six, got you. Fast forward 22 years, when you're having those internal thoughts, those distorted thoughts, imperfection, you're having depression, anxiety. How
mm,
come I'm not man enough to help you,
mm,
to reach out and call? Like, hey, I'm hurting today, bro. How
mm,
can I do this?
mm,
And three, stop dismissing. And that what I mean by stop dismissing your pain, stop dismissing your kid's pain, stop dismissing your wife's pain, because we minimize it,
right.
because we compare it to combat. You're no longer in combat.
Right home.
You're back home. Their way of feeling is normal.
Mm,
To acknowledge it and give it value.
mm, mm. Tap back into our humanity. No apology for our humanity. Ask for help. Confront it and acknowledge our humanity along with other people's humanity and reality, as that's different. Carlos,
Maintain reality.
yes, yes, powerful. Carlos, if you had to sum up everything in one word, what would that be?
It's gonna hurt. It
Mm,
will hurt.
mhm. They say when it's hard, do it hard. Just
Yeah,
do
it will. It will hurt. If you're doing it right, it will hurt.
it. Mhm. It's turning our whole identity into who we want to be, unlearning what we've learned
Mm-hmm.
how to be, to really be, to return back to our humanity.
But
Powerful.
most of us don't even know what that is, because none
Mhm.
of us, no one, none of most of us didn't get a chance to even get to that point.
Wow, so powerful. Carlos, thank you so much for this interview. I know that it's going to help so many people to be able to hear from a combat veteran who has been there, done that, has experienced life, and has now returned back to their humanity. That's my
I'm
wish
trying.
for
I
everyone.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to our listeners and viewers, take 5 minutes, do 3 things, action right away, over and over again, whether it's listening to this audio, TV show, sharing it with others. Do you know exactly what it is that's important for you to do in order for you to get the most out of this interview? There are so many golden nuggets. If we we're just to put 3 things on a consistent basis, our life will be even better, moment by moment, day by day, month by month, and year by year. Take that time. And until the next time, keep on living your life in a happy, healthy, and fulfilling way.